Everybody would like government to run smoothly and everybody to be clear about what's happening weeks, months, years in advance. In my experience of quite a long time in government, that's not the way that these things happen. You focus at the point at which you focus. And what's been important about what's happened in the last week or so is that there's been real engagement and partnership with Labour MPs.
I shouldn't laugh. I'll probably get in trouble with that. As the Equalities Minister, Jackie Smith, it's a gargantuan U-turn. It's one of the flagship policies, as was the policy to do with winter fuel allowance. They've U-turned. And didn't they also U-turn on the grooming gangs and like? So what's the guarding? I mean, I'll talk about it more generally in a minute. But specifically, you've become, Adam Gabsi, my disability correspondent. You appreciate... That's what happens when you start meeting me out of work time. You understand that, Adam?
Yeah, that's great. I respect the fact that I'm your disability correspondent because, there's no one better for the job. So thanks, Eddie, mate.
For goodness sake. You're going to make me speak to you. So people hear me speak to you and they go, I heard him speak to a guest and I can't believe he was that rude to the guest. You're going to make me do it, aren't you? Have you sorted out you sorted out your battery, fella? Because that was seeing you like that. So we both, Adam and I, were at the... silent Grenfell silent march, and the battery went, and there was some poor fella behind him absolutely struggling to push it, and I was like, oh jeez, I wanted to sit on your lap and get him to push both of us.
I would say the real hero of that day actually was a lady called Sophia. Yeah, so a woman actually saved the day by using her wheelchair to pull another wheelchair.
I saw that. It was like a towing. I thought they were just. I thought they were just having fun like children.
No. She stepped up when she was needed, and she pulled someone else whose battery had also given way, and it was just a very awkward day. However, we were there, to show solidarity with people who were in Grenfell, survivors and those who have passed. And it was a very interesting day.
One of the things that I looked at is a number of people with disabilities who struggled in Grenfell. And we will have time to talk about that. But it's a quick call because on Thursday, I was talking about what I was hearing was 120 people rebelling, and that the Prime Minister was going, we're sticking to it. And I'm not sure that you are. Do you know what the concessions will mean for somebody like you?
I'm very aware that the concessions mean that someone like me is going to be left alone. However, previously said...
One second, Adam. This is me being overly familiar. Sure. What's your situation?
Okay, I have multiple sclerosis. I am a wheelchair user. Yeah, I cannot weight bear at all. I am a full-time wheelchair user and therefore very visibly impaired. Yeah, and I've always said to you, Eddie, that I feel quite uncomfortable with a hierarchy of disability, and a hierarchy of impairment, because there are things about me that make my MS visible, and there are other people that have MS.
Yeah, but it is what it is. My mother-in-law is registered as disabled, and we took them out to eat yesterday, and we go really slowly, and she could walk with a walking stick. It's not a competition. I accept that, but there will be somebody who has something like ME. There will be somebody who has, something that means that they can do a little. And I think actually what you've stumbled upon quite literally here is the basis of what the Prime Minister was trying to do, is to get those who can work to work.
Yeah, but in my opinion, Eddie, it's false economy, right? Because what he's going to do is not save money. He's not going to save costs. He's going to shift burdens. So where he's taking money away from the welfare system, he's going to force people to use the NHS, force people to go to the council, force people into different services.
Okay.
Yeah. So money is going to get...
Let's take one step back. I'm not supposed to have an opinion, but I do. And my problem with it as an advocate, and I hope somebody who is trying to understand more, with it, when something is predicated from the idea of saving money, it's really difficult. And if they'd put more emphasis on, I don't know, something like 85-90% of people who are sight impaired don't get employed, and actually they could do a fabulous job. We've talked about the loyalty that you would get from somebody, how much it costs to adapt to the places that you work. And if they'd put it on the positive, then they might have had a chance with it, wouldn't they?
I feel like I constantly say that PIP is not an out-of-work benefit. 41% of people that claim personal independence payment are in work, right? So it's to cover extra costs that society fails to provide, right? So things that are not in society, like transport is not accessible, therefore disabled people need to pay more to get to where they're going. Assistance, access to work, to access the workplace is not always the easiest thing. And that's what PIP is for. However, withdrawing PIP at the same time as withdrawing a service like access to work, which is there to assist a disabled person into work, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. It seems to be kind of counterproductive.
Well, we're going to talk about it again. But 3:30, we get a statement. Make sure you're going to be watching it. The vote is tomorrow, and then we'll take a look at it again, and then maybe we'll, I've been talking to my bosses about getting guest editors, and I really want to push that further, because it would be interesting to see what somebody who actually sits in a chair feels like, and how they would project to society something that would make them more able. So that's something I'm working on. Adam, thank you for your time. I appreciate it very, very much indeed. This is BBC Radio London.